Guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Pagani Design PD1651. This watch was sent to the channel for free by the Pagani Design Global AliExpress store on AliExpress. I don't have to send the watch back, but you know the deal by now. That's not going to sway my review one way or the other. The retail price for this watch is $105 US, but these things constantly go on sale, so you're going to be finding them fairly often discounted. For instance, at the time of the shooting, it's down to $95 plus another $5 off with a coupon code, so just keep that in mind when you're looking to buy. The PD1651 comes in 10 different setups. There's this rose gold with the black bezel and rubber strap, and then there's the normal stainless steel case with a few different dial and bezel options as well as different bracelet options. So I just say head to the link in the description and you can see all your options there. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel, has a sapphire crystal, screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance. And like I said just a bit ago, it comes on your option of a rubber strap, 3-link or 5-link stainless steel bracelets, and also a Milanese mesh strap. And all models are powered by the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. So the PD1651 has been around for a while now, and they recently got this new colorway, so that's why it was sent to me. I've never been a big fan of gold watches, but there's one gold watch that I would wear. This is homaging that watch. Hopefully you know what that watch is. If not, it's a watch made for very large boats. Some might call it a yacht. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So what do I think of this thing? Is it any good? I say we get right to the review. But before we do, let's do a quick wrist check. Wearing the Seastern 600 dive watch. Absolutely love this thing. Go check out the review. Yeah, been one of my favorites since I got it on the channel. So very happy with that. And so first things first, we'll do the dimensions. Got a bezel diameter of 40.5 millimeters. Case thickness of 12.5. Got 20 millimeter lug width. Lug tip to lug tip, we've got 47.1 millimeters. And on the supplied rubber strap, we've got a weight of just under 105 grams. So that's a pretty nice size. I mean, it's that 40 by 47 that we all kind of gauge everything else off by. And I think it looks really good. Pretty happy with it. It is obviously a very flat case, but I think it does look pretty good. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5-inch wrist, and as you can see, I mean, it wears fine. I had no doubts that it would wear fine. So yeah, I mean, it looks good. It sits a little flat on the wrist, so you can see a little bit of a gap there, but it's still comfortable and feels very good. Doesn't look big or small or anything like that. Lots of light play off of that bezel insert. Really cool looking. Yeah, it looks good. It looks fine. I like it on this black strap as well. I probably wouldn't change it off this strap, so but I'll throw it on a couple straps just because. And here you can see in direct sunlight, there's that sunburst dial. Looking really cool. Very subtle unless you're right out in the light here. But it does look pretty good, and you can see, I mean, there's no anti-reflective coating on the crystal, but it's still plenty legible. I've got no issues reading the dial on this thing. Let's go throw it on some straps though. Here we are on a Vario leather strap, and it kind of looks good. You kind of got that tan stitching which matches the gold and the black. I think it looks good. Maybe a little thin for this case, but still, I think it actually works okay. What do you guys think? I'm gonna go throw it on a couple others and we'll get back to it. Here we are on a dark blue Perlon. I definitely meant to grab the black one and grab this one instead. But yeah, that's kind of just what it's gonna look like. I know the black one will look good. This blue one actually doesn't look terrible though. What do you guys think? One layer underneath the watch there, still very comfortable, very fine. No issues. Got one last strap to throw it on though. So here we are on a black and gold kind of 2-layer nylon strap. This is a pretty thick one, so it does sit up pretty high, but I think that actually looks pretty cool. What do you guys think? All right, let's go back inside because this noise is ridiculous. Yeah, let's talk about the case finishing. So case finishing on this is pretty nice and done fairly well. You have a brushing on the tops of the lugs, as you can see here. Pretty nicely done. You've got polished sides. You've got polished crown guards. Polishing on this side as well. You've got a polished but signed Pagani Design logo on the crown here. Nicely done. Flipping it over to the case back, you've got a circular brushing on the bottom of the case. Then you've got your typical Pagani design case back, simple notches to get a tool in there if you ever want to mess with the NH35. Display case back, we're going to test that for sapphire. I don't think it is, but we'll test it anyway. But yeah, pretty nicely done. I've got no real issues with it. These edges here, nicely honed for a case of this style, I guess. So yeah, not too bad. So my only real complaint with this is that yachting case that this is homaging, it's a little bit different to this case here. So I'm going to bring in my Parnas yacht watch that I reviewed a while ago. Go check out that review. And this has a proper case to it. So you can see the difference right away. This is a fully polished case, as you can see there, versus the brushed case on the top. This also has thinner lugs. It's got kind of like a more sculpted case just in general. Here's a side profile of them, side by side. You can see the Parnas curves down a little bit more. It's also a more rounded case. It's kind of where this one is very straight-sided. As you can see there, it's very straight. This one is more rounded. I personally think this one, the case on this looks a lot better. I wish Pagani would have gone with this case instead of this case here, but I know that's all personal preference. I know, fully polished cases aren't everyone's taste, but yeah, that's just my personal preference. And I think, if you're looking at a watch of this style, you should know the subtle differences between the two. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I really do like this Parnas watch, but it has some pretty bad flaws to it. I kind of wish these two would have a baby together and yeah, and make the perfect watch. So yeah, I just wanted you to be aware of that. That's really the only difference in the case between the two. And it's a pretty significant difference, but yeah, I do still think this looks pretty good. Now let's talk about the bezel on this. So the bezel is pretty nicely done. You have a ceramic bezel insert. You've got this kind of matte black background and then these raised, polished ceramic numerals and markings. I think it looks really cool. Very, very cool looking. It is aligned actually really nicely. The bezel itself, plenty of grip on that. Really nice. You got a circular brushing on the bottom edge, then polishing on the top edge of it there. So it does sparkle a little bit. Pretty nicely done. I'm very happy with it. So if you check out the listing, you'll see version 2 is now the latest version, and they say that adds 120 click bezel. This is a version 1, so I'm just going to talk about that. It is a 60 click unidirectional bezel, and it's actually pretty nice clicks. Very smooth action, nice crisp clicks. You can see it aligns nicely. There's a little bit of forward play. Hopefully the 120 click will fix that. And then there's also a little bit of lateral play. I can't really comment on that one, unfortunately, but yeah, it's not going to get any worse than this. Not saying that this is bad, but I don't think it's going to get any worse than the play in this bezel. So if you do get a gold case with the version 2, hopefully this will all be sorted out, and yeah, it'll be a much nicer bezel. As it is though, it's really not a terrible bezel. I'm just not a big fan of 60 clicks. So all right, let's test the crystal for sapphire. So the crystal is sapphire. Let's test the Cyclops. Cyclops is also sapphire. Flip it over to the case back, and that is just mineral crystal. So not a surprise there. I mean, they use this crystal and the Cyclops in a lot of their watches, and they're all sapphire. So sapphire and sapphire. There's no anti-reflective coating on it. It's not too terrible on this model. I've seen some where it's really bad, like that the GMT that I just reviewed. That one was pretty bad for some reason. This one, nice and big, good magnification, good alignment. Yeah, pretty happy with the Cyclops on this thing. The crystal itself, just a flat piece of sapphire, and it sits, I mean, just a hair over the bezel, barely over the bezel. Not even really a chamfer on the edge or anything like that. So just plain flat. I've got no real issues with it. These flat crystals, they don't really need anti-reflective coating. It's nice when they have them, but they don't really need it in my opinion. So yeah, I think it's a perfectly acceptable crystal. It's nice that they upgraded the Cyclops to sapphire though. All right, let's talk about the dial. We'll get real close for you. And as you can see, the dial is nicely done. They've got it nicely aligned. Everything seems to be, everything seems to be lined up nicely. The outer minute track here is printed in gold, as you can see there. The Pagani design logo and shield, also printed in gold. Automatic water resistance 10 bar 100 meters, also printed in gold. You got Japan movement down there straddling the 6 o'clock index. Everything looks really nice. The printing on it is very crisp, very clean. The dial on this one, this is the black dial. It is a sunburst. I'm not sure if you can even see it in this lighting here. I'm not seeing it on my end, but I will post up some pictures just so you can actually see it. But really nice sunburst, very subtle, very, very, very subtle, but nicely done, I think. And I like the dial color a lot. As for the indices, they are applied, they are gold surrounded, filled with white lume. You've got the hands, which are also gold. Really nice handset on this thing, I think. Yeah, pretty impressed with the handset. Nice and clean and crisp. Second hand reaches right out to the minute track. Minute hand, good length. Hour hand, same thing. Very happy with the proportions on the dial. I think they really nailed it. It looks good. It looks really good. The lume on this thing, very interesting. So I'm going to pop up a lume shot right now. And here you can see the hands on this model are BGW9. The dial itself is kind of that old Pagani lume that they use, that dark blue lume. It definitely does not last as long as the hands do. You can see the hands hang on. The hands are actually really nicely lumed. The dial is not, it fades. It's just not on par with the hands, and I really think they need to get that right. If they got that right, this watch would be absolutely awesome. Now let's talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement is operated by this 3 o'clock screw-down crown. Plenty of grip on the crown. It's your typical Pagani design crown. Really nice threading, nice and smooth. You do have a gasket in there, if you can see that. I'll pull this out real quick. You do have a gasket in there, which is nice to see. It gives a little bit of reassurance, I guess. But yeah, you pull it out to the third position, it hacks the movement. The first position is your hand winding, nice and smooth hand winding, very solid crown as well. There's no wobble or anything to it. Second position changes your date, and all the date windows are nicely centered. I see no issues with it. I mean, it looks good. It feels good. Everything functions the way it should. Everything is aligned nicely. Yeah, they did a good job on this. It's the Seiko NH35. Here's how mine has been running. I honestly haven't put it on the time grapher at the time of this shooting, but this is how it's running, and I suspect it would be pretty good. So yeah, very happy with the movement. NH35, it's always a bonus in a watch in this price range. All right, so let's talk about the strap on this thing. So the strap is actually a highlight on this watch. I was really surprised. I heard that these straps were pretty good, but I never really thought they would be. But yeah, this is actually a nice strap. So it is 20 millimeters. It does taper down to 18 millimeters. It's just a black rubber strap, but it's a really nice rubber strap. It's very smooth. It does have some heft to it, but it's very flexible, as you can see here. The underside has these little grooves in it, as you can see right there. So it's nice and breathable. Quick release pins. Yeah, plenty of adjustment holes. It's a good length. I'm kind of right in the middle for my 7.5 inch wrist. So you can, go down to 6.5, probably up to 8.5 on this thing. Very happy with it. On this side here, you do have a rose gold signed Pagani buckle. I've seen this buckle used before. It's nothing fancy. It's kind of a parts bin buckle, but yeah, it's not a bad buckle at all. It feels pretty solid in my opinion. It could be better, but it's really not that bad. And then you've got one stationary keeper that's just held in by these little grooves. I have noticed that this thing kind of pops out of those grooves and kind of moves all over the place, but typically it stays in its spot. And then you've got one floating keeper here. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about this strap. It's actually pretty nice. I've been using this strap on other watches too. That's how good it is. So it's a watch you're going to want to keep around, or a watch band you're going to want to keep around, even if you don't keep this watch on this one. Yeah, it's good. It's actually good. Good on Pagani for putting a nice strap on this thing. So there you go, guys. That is the Pagani Design PD1651. Actually, I've been really enjoying this. I do wish they would kind of go with the actual yacht style case. That's my only real gripe with this thing. If I can take the guts out of this thing, take the strap off of this thing, and put it in that harness, I would do it in a heartbeat. Because I don't know. There's something about the yacht style case that I like a lot better than this one. That's just me though. I know it's all personal preference, but yeah, I think if they did that, they would have nailed this thing. As it is though, it's still a really good watch. You can get these things for like $75 on the sale, and yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a price for this watch. You're getting a good strap, a nice solid case, 100 meters of water resistant sapphire NH35. I mean, yeah, it's a very nice, solid deal, and a good watch. I do really like the watch, and I like the way that it looks. So if you guys are interested in this, like I mentioned earlier, there's a link down in the description. That is an affiliate link. Thank you guys so much for using my affiliate links. It allows me to keep this channel going. So I really do appreciate it. And I know you guys appreciate me getting in some of these more obscure watches. Not that this one's obscure, but you know, I've done some pretty obscure watches in the past. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this one. I've been enjoying it. I think it's a buy. If you like this case style, I say go for it. Really cool watch. Very happy with it. And I think you guys will be too. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.